What's up, Sports Beat, and welcome to the first episode of the spring semester. I'm your host, Max Milstein, and we have a great episode for you tonight. The Los Angeles Rams narrowly defeated the Cincinnati Bengals in the Super Bowl this Sunday, and as the NFL season ends, the long offseason begins as teams are preparing for free agency and the draft. In the NBA, the Nets and 76ers just completed one of the biggest trades in the past decade, and we talked with Hofstra Pride fans at the men's homecoming game earlier this month. So don't go anywhere, Hofstra fans, because Sports Beat starts right now. I'm here with Jessica Ross and Tim Crowley. Let's get started with the Super Bowl. Guys, Matt Stafford, the last 12 years, or the previous 12 years, stuck in Detroit on a very lackluster team, yet almost threw for 550,000 yards. Now, he's a Super Bowl champion. Where does Matt Stafford's legacy stand right now?
Well, that ring is an awesome addition to his legacy and his resume. Is it Hall of Fame caliber yet? Probably not with just the one, but what an incredible capstone in his first year away from Detroit. All those prolific years passing with not a ton of help along the way. Finally gets in that perfect system, gets him a ring. So maybe not getting ready yet, but have to feel really good for that former first-round pick.
Definitely. Throughout his career, he has shown to be an outstanding quarterback. And when he was finally given the team that was going to support him and that he can lead to get the Super Bowl championship, you could really see how strong he is as a quarterback.
There's no doubt it was great seeing Matt Stafford. I think every football fan can agree that he's one of the good guys in the game and a guy who deserved it. Well, let's talk about the Bengals for a second. At the end of the game, they had a chance to tie or take the lead in the final 2 minutes, got stopped short around midfield off questionable play calls on 3rd and 1 and 4th and 1. What did you make of the Bengals play calling late in the game?
Well, on 3rd and 1, the concept might have made sense. Had some time to run the ball if you wanted to, 2 timeouts, under a minute to go. However, the personnel really didn't. P. Ryan going right into the teeth of Aaron Donald, and he gets stuffed. 4th and 1, there were some options open. Had a few receivers in the flat. Jamar Chase blatantly beats Jalen Ramsey right down the sideline, but when Aaron Donald's making plays in the backfield, Burrow never had enough time to make that throw.
Exactly. I think it was, looking back, definitely a poor decision made by Zach Taylor, as you really can't take your offense and run them straight into that defensive line as the Rams have, because Aaron Donald will take down anything that comes his way.
Cooper Kupp, best offensive player on the field, had one of the best wide receiver seasons in recent memory. 2 touchdowns in the Super Bowl, including the game winner, was named MVP after the game, though in post-game interviews said he thought he might not deserve the award. So if it was not Cooper Kupp, who would be the MVP in that game?
For the offensive era that this game currently exists in, it would have been great to see Aaron Donald get that award. Not too many defensive players have gotten that in this modern era, but he certainly made his case right throughout that whole game. 7 pressures, 2 sacks, and eventually that game-winning play against Burrow.
Exactly. Now let's talk Cooper Kupp. In the history of the NFL, only 2 players have both cracked the Triple Crown, MVP of the Super Bowl, along with Offensive Player of the Year. And the only 2 people who have done that are Cooper Kupp and Jerry Rice. And I think looking back his career, and he is a fantastic offensive player, but I think in this Super Bowl, Aaron Donald definitely should have been the MVP.
Well, you guys talked about Aaron Donald for a second. Let's dive a little bit deeper into number 99. 2 sacks in the Super Bowl, widely regarded right now as the best defensive player in football. My question to you, where does he rank in the all-time defensive players in football history conversation?
I think there's a strong argument to be made that the only player left in front of him might be Lawrence Taylor and the incredible resume that he put together over his career. And you think of modern game planning and having to stop one particular player, there may not be a harder player to game plan against than Aaron Donald. He can beat double teams. He can beat any stunt or scheme that you can drop against him. No one wrecks the game like Aaron Donald does, and now he finally has the ring to add to his resume as well.
Exactly. Aaron Donald demands a double team, and even when he is being double teamed, he will get through it. He will get through any wall that is going to pass him, especially as we saw he was the last play of the Super Bowl, leading the Rams to a victory. And I think that he is definitely one of the all-time defensive players to ever play the game.
Let's go back to the Bengals for a second. Their defense gave up a couple penalties in the red zone that put the Rams in prime position to score that game-winning touchdown. Yet their offense had several chances throughout the game, including the fourth quarter, and then faltered down the stretch. And they let up 7 sacks, which ties a Super Bowl record. If you're Cincinnati right now, do you put more of this loss on the offense or on the defense?
That blame goes to the offense, especially they had some times they lacked productivity, had to get really creative with how they did score, Mixon throwing the touchdown pass, and then Higgins getting away with a huge face mask on Ramsey on his 75-yard touchdown. The offensive line couldn't protect Burrow most of the season. They got away with it up until this point, but it came back to bite them against an elite defensive line like the Rams.
Exactly. I think this offense is really what the problem was. And, Joe Burrow has to be on his toes throughout the entire game, especially when you have somebody like Aaron Donald in that defense to worry about. And I think just overall that this offense could have been better.
Well, let's talk about the offensive line, which, to put it very nicely, was atrocious throughout this playoffs. Do you think the Bengals can get back to this position and finally get over the hump and win this championship without a complete revamping that offensive line?
I don't believe so, and luckily for them, this is the offseason to do it. They have about $58 million around in cap this offseason, so they can make some moves to rearrange that offensive line because they're going to need to protect Joe Burrow and play basically perfect football if they want to repeat as AFC champions next year.
Exactly. I think for them to even get to the playoffs next year, they are definitely going to have to figure out something with this offensive line. It's almost as if they didn't get lucky. They had a great team, but there were definitely situations in which if this offensive line does not pick up, it's not going to get better for them.
Tim, Jess, fantastic stuff. Well, earlier this month, our very own Griffin Schmoyer and Andres Santiago visited the Hofstra men's basketball homecoming game and met up with some fans where things got a little bit interesting. Let's take a look.
Sports Beat fans, I'm Griffin Schmoyer alongside Andres Santiago, and we are here at the homecoming men's basketball game at the MAC against JMU. We're going to talk to some fans that are going around here, see how they feel about Hofstra sports and a bunch of other things, and see if they can get a shot on our human hoop. If they can make it on the first try, we're going to give them $1 straight out of our budget. Not really. All right, let's get to it. What do you make so far of Speedy Claxton, Hofstra legend and NBA champion, his tenure as head coach so far?
So far, they played some really tough teams and they played them well. I think that championship experience he has in the NBA is really showing on the guys. I think they've really come together as the season's gone along.
Well, let's see if Will can champion our human hoop. Will, a club hockey player for Hofstra, takes his shot and bang! We've got a two-sport athlete. We've got a two-sport athlete, $1 richer. This is your second time on Sports Beat. You're obviously the Frisbee captain. What's the main difference you find between Frisbee and basketball?
The verticality in basketball and Frisbee is very similar, so that's the same. But the real difference is the pure athleticism that is displayed on a college ultimate Frisbee field. It's nowhere near basketball.
Well, let's see if he can put that athleticism to test on our human hoop. Aiden is opting for the basketball form as opposed to the Frisbee form. He takes his shot. Oh, air ball! Where'd it go? Did we find it? Aiden, where'd it go?
No comment.
Obviously, one of the biggest contributors to this Hofstra team is Aaron Estrada. What do you think of his play this past year coming in from Oregon?
He's a very good shooter. He knows how to space the floor well. Good leader of the team. He's able to score in clutch time, and he's just a good leader for the Hofstra basketball program.
Awesome. All right, now we're going to get to his shot on the human hoop. He shoots. Oh, off the front of the rim. Ben Simmons will be proud of that one. Unfortunately, he does not win the prize. Let's go, man. Oh! How does it feel to produce the second best show on Wednesdays on the Heat Network?
Oh, okay. First of all, not true, but
Fake news.
okay. It feels pretty damn good.
Well, let's see how damn good you are on our human hoop. Yeah, that's good. So let's see how those producing skills translate to the court, and they don't. And that is why she doesn't produce the best show, Sports Beat. All right, Daniel, what's the meaning of life?
Oh, God.
Here comes Logan for his shot on the injured foot, and he makes it. Here he goes. Oh, he gets it too. 2 for 2. The Plainview Hawks are going wild. He's going to make his shot. Oh, he got the step. The underhanded shot. It is 3 for 3 for the Plainview Hawks. He shoots. Oh. One more shot. One more shot. This won't be for the prize, but we got to get everybody to make one. He shoots. Oh, there he goes. Second time is the charm. What makes you better than the rest of your teammates to make this shot? What gives you the edge?
I'm a better shooter than all of them.
Oh, time to put his money where his mouth is on the human hoop. The underhand. Oh, and he gets it. The Plainview Hawks dominate the Hofstra human hoop. All right, Dre, you just got schooled by 5 10-year-olds. How you feeling right now?
You know, it's really hurting my reputation as a man who just straight clams. That's what I'm used to. You know, no one typically scores on me, so this isn't great for my rep. I'll get it back up later. So.
All right. We'll have to see. You better. We're losing so much money. This is coming right out of the budget. Does your fur keep you warm on the cold Long Island winters? Look, I just had to make sure, all right? I just had to make sure.
Just a little curious, you know.
Just a little curious, you know. Yeah. Thank you so much for being a part of this. We really appreciate it.
Do you want to take a shot?
Oh yeah, we got the human hoop here. Do you want to take a shot on him? All right, here we go. We got Kate taking a shot on the human hoop. Oh, she got this. Look at the form. Oh, the form is beautiful. Absolutely gorgeous form. Oh. We got a celebrity, man. Only Sports Beat. You're getting absolute celebrities. Thank you so much. So, guys, that's going to do it for...
One second. You know, there's been a lot of people shooting on me so far. One person that hasn't, though, is you, Griffin.
Okay.
Why don't you try and make a shot and see how it goes?
Try?
Try. Emphasis on the try, because it's probably not going in.
I will make the shot. I would have made that if he kept the hoop, by the way. I would have made, no. Back to you guys in studio.
Thanks, Griffin and Andres. Moving on to the NBA, we're going to talk the biggest trade that's happened in recent memories between the Nets and the 76ers. Joining me is Jair Brooks Davis. Jair, this past couple days ago, we saw James Harden, Paul Millsap going down to Philly, coming back up to Brooklyn, Ben Simmons, Seth Curry, Andre Drummond, and 2 first-round picks. Let's start simple. Who won this trade?
Max, the Philadelphia 76ers won this trade. You are getting a former MVP in James Harden coming to your team to be paired with a potential MVP in Joel Embiid to be your secondary scorer. Can't get any better than that.
All right. This is where I'm going to tell you politely that you are wrong, and now I'm going to get not so politely. You're forgetting about one player on the Nets named Kevin Durant, who when he comes back will reassure everyone that he is the best basketball player on planet Earth. What have the Nets' biggest problems been this year? Defense, rebounding, rim protecting. They get all of that in this trade. Ben Simmons, you can meme his shooting all you want, and it's well-deserved. But you cannot meme his defensive effort. He is one of the premier defenders in the NBA. And then you look at a guy like Seth Curry, who can shoot the lights out of the ball. 5th place all-time percentage-wise in NBA three-point shooting history. And then Andre Drummond, a guy who's averaged over 10 rebounds a game for his career. The Nets got stronger in their weak places, and they didn't lose too much with losing Harden. And when I say that, I'm not diminishing Harden's skill levels. Obviously, he is a fantastic scorer. He's a fantastic facilitator of the basketball. But they have Kevin Durant. They have Kyrie Irving. They have guys that can score the basketball. So getting those other pieces to surround those two guys, I think, is more important than having that third great scorer in James Harden.
But Max, you are paying for a guy like Ben Simmons, a max player who doesn't shoot the ball. That to me is pretty concerning. And I'm hoping that throughout his time off, he was able to master more at the free throw line, and he's not afraid to take layups. And I'm hoping that he at least worked on his shot, shooting around the perimeter.
Jared, can I tell you a little secret? I really don't care if Ben Simmons has been working on his free throw shooting or his three-point shot. I don't need him to score the basketball. If you're a Nets fan, you need him to play great defense, be a facilitator. And when I want to go back to that defensive note for a second, because the Nets, it's been so long since they've had a guy that can guard the 1 through the 4. Kevin Durant, he is an elite defender, but you don't want to put him on the 1 or the 2. Simmons can guard all of those positions, and you don't lose much in the facilitating department with Simmons. It's great. And then I just believe that you look at the weaknesses the Nets had. You look at the strengths that the players they brought in have, and it's like puzzle pieces fitting perfectly together.
But Max, at this point in the season, how long do you think that the team chemistry will be until they are able to work themselves back up in the Eastern Conference at this point?
I mean, team chemistry is one thing when you have players who aren't the best in the world. The Nets have a player who is the best in the world. Look at some of the guys he's won games with this year. Back against those very same 76ers earlier this year, Kevin Durant beat a team that had Patty Mills, Cam Thomas, Day'Ron Sharpe, and Kessler Edwards as his other starters. That is really impressive. If he can do it with those rookies and Patty Mills, I think he can do it with Ben Simmons, Seth Curry, and Andre Drummond. Chemistry, I'm not worried about at all. The pieces are going to get healthy, and they are going to go back up toward the top of the Eastern Conference. Will they get the 1 seed? That might be a little far-fetched. I think they may have slid a little too far. But looking at Philadelphia for a minute, it's going to be really interesting to see if Harden and Embiid can get it to work.
Max, I think that they'll be able to get it work. You're going to have Harden and you're going to have Embiid with him, or actually it's going to be Embiid and you're going to have Harden with him. You have a guy who could score the ball from behind the three-point arc. He could shoot mid-range. He could drive in. And then you pair him with a guy like Joel Embiid, someone that most people around the NBA, or fans included, deemed to be a potential MVP candidate. It can't get any better than that. And I think Philly is going to find their way to be within the top 3 seeds in the Eastern Conference.
Well, I just can't wait for like 2 months from now when James Harden is complaining about something and forces his way out of Philly as well. Well, Jair, great stuff. We are now going to hear from Ariadne Morales with an update on the Winter Olympics in Beijing. Over to you.
Hey Sports Beat fans, it's Ariadne Morales here giving you an inside look at all things Team USA in the Beijing 2022 Winter Olympics. We start with Connecticut native Julia Marino, who shocked the world in the women's snowboard slopestyle. She edged out fellow USA teammate Jamie Anderson, who entered the competition with the second best odds to win the competition. Marino clinched the silver medal with Zoe Zadorsky-Sano of New Zealand, bringing home the gold medal. This is the first time New Zealand has won a gold medal in the Winter Olympics. From the board to the skis, Jalen Koff, who hails from Wyoming, placed in the freestyle skiing. She finished with the silver medal, and Australia's Jacara Anthony captured the gold medal. Koff is showing significant progress as she finished 7th in the same competition during the 2018 Pyeongchang Olympics. The U.S. also finished with a silver medal on the men's side of freestyle skiing, thanks to Kobe Stevenson. The 24-year-old's first rose to prominence at the Aspen X Games and will look to continue to grow as a skier in pursuit of an eventual gold medal. Family ties plays a big part for the Team USA, and the Cochran family is a perfect example. Skiing legend Barbara Cochran, who won a gold medal in the 1972 Olympics, just watched her son Ryan Cochran-Siegel place in the men's Super G. He was the 4th American Olympian to bring home a silver medal at the Olympic Games. Madison Chalk and Evan Bates dazzled in the team figure skating. They credit their success to chemistry off the ice as they have a romantic relationship. They chose to skate to music from Billie Eilish and Daft Punk. Their fresh take on modern American culture was enough for them to win a silver medal. The best performer of the Olympics has to go to the pride of Roxbury, Connecticut, Lindsay Jacobellis. She is the most decorated snowboard cross athlete of all time, as she is the 10-time X Games champion. It was no different in China, as she added yet another gold medal to her resume in the women's snowboard cross. This was the first gold medal for the United States at the Winter Olympic Games. Jacobellis didn't stop there. She continued her dominance, winning the gold medal in the mixed team snowboard cross with partner Nick Baumgartner. 21-year-old Chloe Kim is easily the most recognizable female snowboarder on Team USA. She continued to shine in the national spotlight by bringing home a gold medal in the women's halfpipe. She achieved the victory while attempting one of the toughest tricks in the sport, a cab 1260. While she didn't stick the landing, she was near perfect in the rest of her routine. Back at the rink, Nathan Chen shined men's singles figure skating. He skated to an Elton John medley. The performance was so impressive that the Rocketman himself reached out to praise Chen. His routine was strong enough to acquire yet another gold medal for the Team USA. Out at the women's monobob, Kaylee Humphries stole the show. The Canadian-born American sit-in won the golds with a 1.55-second lead. Canadian Christine De Bruin and American Elena Mayers-Taylor earned silver and bronze respectively. That's all from the Winter Olympics. With your Sports Beat update, I'm Ariadne Morales. We'll be right back.
Mark Melton. I knew I recognized that hat. Caitlin?
Caitlin?
Yeah, Caitlin. So what are you doing?
Oh, I'm just hanging out.
Yeah?
Waiting for the bus.
Oh, buses are cool.
Yeah, I agree.
It's only like 3 letters, it's so easy to spell.
B-U-S.
B-U-S.
Yeah.
Oh, is that it right now?
That's the bus.
Let's go.
Hey, let's get on the
I'll be
bus.
on the bus.
Hey, okay.
Cash. Emily.
Thought that'd work.
He's on fire.
Back to Sports Beat. We're going to go back to the NFL and talk a little bit about the offseason. Joining me is Louis Grasso and Jason Wyke. Guys, let's get right into it, starting with the two teams that just played in Super Bowl 56. What do the Bengals and the Rams each need to do this offseason to best ensure they are back playing in the Super Bowl next February?
Oh, so if you're the Bengals, I mean, why did they lose the Super Bowl? Because of their secondary. They were getting toasted the entire game. Eli Apple talking a lot of smack and not able to back it up. Additionally, for the Rams, I think it's pretty simple. Take the Tampa Bay approach. Try to retain as many people as you can on both sides of the ball, and I think they have a winning recipe with that.
The Bengals need an O-line. Here's a little nugget for you. Burrow was sacked 51 times this season, the most of any quarterback. And he was sacked 19 times in only 4 playoff games this year, which is, it's insane. That's a crazy thing. And also, how many times did you see the Bengals go from 1st and 10 to 2nd and 10 because Joe Mixon, every time first down, and that O-line just couldn't support him. And for the Rams, that run game really isn't working either. You know, is Cam Akers legit? Is he, is Darrell Henderson going to be hurt again next year and be a liability that way? Melvin Gordon, other free agents are open. Maybe they pursue that route.
Well, the Bengals 2 years ago were last in their division. This year, they played in the Super Bowl. Before that, the Bucs finished 3rd in their division in 2019. Then in 2020, they won the championship. Looking at the NFL landscape right now, if you guys had to pick a team that did not make the playoffs this year, that is set up for a deep playoff run next year, who would it be?
So I think I'd have to go with the Chargers. I mean, they were a field goal in overtime away from being able to get to the playoffs. So they already had a pretty good team there. And with Tristan Herbert, again, he's a young phenom, gunslinger. He has great pieces on offense. Maybe defense they could rekindle a little bit, but I think overall it's a team that could be young and exciting. Could maybe make a run like the Bengals.
I'm going to stick with a team in the AFC as well. I'm going to go with the Ravens. They're a team that always performs well. This year did not go their way. They didn't make the playoffs. J.K. Dobbins getting hurt was a real big that was a real big push for them. That really was not good. Gus Edwards got hurt as well. They really didn't have that support in the backfield. And, of course, Lamar also had some injuries going on this year. So they really didn't have their healthy selves. I think if they could get back to that, and, of course, they have that backfield, the Ravens are going to do really well next year.
Well, let's start talking about one of everyone's favorite off-season traditions, the coaching carousel in the NFL. 8 new head coaches across the league this year. Out of all of those new jobs, which one was your favorite hire? Which one was your least favorite hire?
So my favorite, I like Nathaniel Hackett. You know, maybe you could ploy in Aaron Rodgers to go to Denver. If not, I think he's got some pieces, but also he's able to work with nothing. He almost took a Kyle Orton-led Bills to the playoffs, and he took a Jaguars team almost to the Super Bowl. I would say for the worst, though, 64-year-old Lovie Smith in Houston. He hasn't been into the postseason or had a winning record since 2012. He's 43-77 overall. I just am not thinking that's the candidate that's going to bring the Texans back.
I think the Jaguars made the best decision going with Doug Peterson, a successful head coach. They know what they're getting in that. He had a winning record with the Eagles and all that time. He had 3 consecutive years where they made it to the playoffs. Of
course, they were the underdogs in the 2017 postseason, and then were able to become Super Bowl champions. I think that's the way, just getting past the Urban Meyer era. I think that's very important for the morale of this team, for their young studs. And for the worst head coach pick, I guess I'd have to go with Chicago, just because I really don't think a head coach is going to fix all the issues that they have right now.
Well, one of the teams that has a new head coach and a new general manager, the New York Football Giants, who have played just abysmal football over the last half decade, or almost a full decade now. They're going to have tough decisions to make coming up regarding Daniel Jones, regarding Saquon Barkley. So if you're new general manager Joe Schoen right now, what are you looking for in year one of his new regime?
So I think Daniel Jones probably is not their guy. So I think with Dable, who's a great offensive mastermind, you have a lot of people on the market right now, particularly Jimmy G and Carson Wentz, two proven veteran quarterbacks. So I think maybe they could work with the team and bring a little bit of that veteran tenure into the locker room that I think they could use right now.
As a Giants fan, I really like that take, but from what I've seen, Joe Schoen is definitely set, or right now is set on keeping Daniel Jones and running that offense through him. So if that's the route that they're going to take, please don't re-sign Brandon Ingram. I think you need a tight end that is going to be locked down, a Zach Ertz, a CJ Uzomah, one of those guys in the free agent market. I think if you're going to go with Daniel Jones and those short passes, they need to be caught always. I don't want to see it go through someone's hands. Ingram has got to go. So that's my take on that.
Switching from Big Blue to Gang Green, the New York Jets showed promise towards the end of the season. What should Jets fans expect out of year two, out of the Robert Saleh, Zach Wilson era?
So I definitely think, 7 to 10, nothing too crazy, but I definitely think they have a couple good pieces. Saleh's a great defensive mind. I think that if he could be able to draft maybe a Kobe Dean, work with some of the pieces he has, their defense will improve. And Zach Wilson's second year, I think, has to get a little bit better.
I'm going to go with that. Zach Wilson needs to be a strong, confident leader. Along with Robert Saleh, I think that's what's going to drive the Jets to success.
Well, maybe if those two teams listen to you guys a little bit, there won't be as much heartbreak for football fans here in New York. And now, we are going to hear from Jair Brooks Davis with the Pride Weekly Update.
Hey, Sports Beat fans, I'm Jair Brooks Davis, and welcome to this new segment called the Pride Weekly Update, informing you of what's to come for your House of Pride. We have a jam-packed weekend full of sports for you. On Friday, February 18th, we start with the men's and women's cross-country and track teams at the Fast Track Last Chance Indoor Invitational, followed by the men's lacrosse team taking on Navy at home at 6 p.m. The men's tennis team takes on LIU, followed by Lehigh and Rider next week, while the women's basketball team travels to North Carolina to compete against Elon in the CAA Conference. Pack the MAC and go see the Pride take on Northeastern basketball in the David S. Mack Sports and Exhibition Complex starting on Saturday at 2 p.m. The Pride is headed to Lancaster, Pennsylvania to compete against Franklin and Marshall for wrestling on Sunday, and the women's basketball team will host Charleston next Wednesday, the 23rd at 7 p.m. Women's lacrosse will be driving up to West Point this weekend to compete against Army, while the Hofstra softball team will be headed to Florida this weekend to compete in the spring games streaming on Flow Softball. The baseball team will be headed to Houston, Texas next weekend, playing Houston Baptist in a series of games, while the men's lacrosse team will host the Long Island Challenge games at Stewart Stadium starting next Friday at 3 p.m. For more information on schedules, live streams, and more, visit GoHofstra.com. That's all for the Pride Weekly Update. Back to you, Max.
Unfortunately, that's all the time we have tonight. I want to thank all panelists and update anchors, along with Griffin Schmoyer and Andre Santiago. Don't forget to follow us on Facebook, Instagram, and YouTube at Hofstra Sports Beat, and tune in on March 9th for our next episode. Until then, I'm Max Milstein. Have a great night.